How's it going, everyone? Today I'm talking about the 2023 Korean thriller on Netflix called Ballerina. Written and directed by Lee Chung-yeon, this movie revolves around a young lady with a mysterious past who is set on a path of revenge when one of her few sincere friends winds up meeting her demise at the hands of a prostitution ring. Honestly, I don't know how much I can even come up with to say about this one. I know it's sitting at a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, and some people have had very fulsome praise for it. But with all due respect, I think y'all are on crack on this one. Really, like, this is about as by the numbers as a by the numbers revenge thriller can get. It's decently shot and acted, but there isn't a single thing here that you haven't seen done and done better in a million other movies. With the whole movie being nothing but a very tired assembly of tropes, the one other area where that leaves for this movie to be creative or leave some kind of an impression, or at least deliver something decent, is the action scenes. Even then, there's nothing to make this movie stand out. I was a little bit worried right from the get-go because the opening action scene that's meant to make an impression on us about how much of a badass our heroine is shot with handheld camera and a lot of close-ups so that you never get any real sense of the action. Later on in the movie, there is one cool fake out in an action scene. It almost sort of feels like what you would get if you let Wes Anderson shoot a kung fu scene or something like that. But for the most part, this is, again, just very meat and potatoes, handheld, close-up action choreography. It's the sort of stuff that was everywhere before a post-Jason Bourne world became a post-John Wick world. The villain is not memorable at all. He's just, appropriately enough, for better or worse, a cheap Korean knockoff of Scarface. And he's not even selling cocaine. This guy runs a grow-op. Oh, no. Just for variety, we do get some scenes where he moonlights as a Dollarama version of Machine from 8mm, but same thing, doesn't leave any kind of an impression at all. The token scene that you get in all these thrillers where the lead character is buying guns is particularly silly here. I mean, I get that there's always that cliche of these characters who are arms dealers being kind of hillbilly clowns. That's a durable enough trope, I guess. But there's a point where our heroine tests out a flamethrower, and they are... Look, I know you just heard me say a couple of days ago that I'm the patron saint of suspension of disbelief, okay? But I still have my limits, and when you're in the middle of a dry desert field full of brush, testing out a flamethrower that apparently shoots flames longer than the length of a Mack truck, something is going to catch fire. That whole field should have burned up. Then when the flamethrower shows up in the climax, it still has those same shoddy effects. But on top of that, there's a very jarring edit where at one point the villain seems to move from being within a few feet of the flamethrower to being like on the other side of the beach, but the flame still reaches no problem. And again, you don't see him get up or run or anything like that. He just kind of moves all of a sudden from being close in one shot to being far away in another one. It's just, I'm sorry, it's just sloppy editing. Our protagonist is defined entirely by her sadness. This is one of those things where the writers think that if you just make a character super, super depressed and sullen, that's the same as giving them character. The movie also never stops showing you flashbacks between our heroine and her deceased friend in happier times. I'm used to a little bit of that as ever, but in this particular case, it feels like it's just kind of there to pad onto the runtime, because when you take out those flashbacks, there is the barest possible bones of a story left here. Our lead could be a good actress, but I don't think there's anything to really prove that here. I mean, I don't know if it's just the way she was directed or what, but it honestly is like watching a feature length's worth of stand-in footage from a production. For all my complaining, this movie is probably still too mediocre for me to really hate it, but it is disappointingly generic, especially by the standards of Korean genre films. With so many other high-quality Asian genre films and series available on Netflix and other streaming platforms, there's really no reason for me to recommend this one. So there you have it. Unfortunately, Ballerina for me is a big dull dud. With that, I'm off to record another review. Thanks so much for watching this one, guys, and I will see you next time.